Gotcha.
The Baan Horn is a Rarity 6 hunting horn in Monster Hunter World, made from Radobon parts and fairly cheap to build. It uses the bone horn model, with the back being covered in Radobon bone spikes. There are currently only 2 horns in the game that cause the sleep status ailment, Baan and Dancing Devul. Now Devul gets a full 90 more sleep damage at the cost of needing to build free element, which really isn't a bad trade-off, but to decide which horn is best for the fight you're heading into, you really have to examine what each of the horns do best. So, before we move on to talking about the Baan Horn's buffs, we should finish looking at its attributes by pointing out that it does get an attack value of 798, which is fine. It gets 3 augmentation slots and a defense bonus of plus 20, which is okay. I'm always worried that they took something out of the horn that I would have rather preferred than the defense, but you know, defense is defense, you gotta have some. Okay, so however, it also does lack decoration slots, and it has a small sharpness bar that doesn't turn white with the full handicraft skill, so you're stuck with the small blue sharpness bar. I want to point out that you tend to put the monster to sleep before needing to resharpen, which means while they're asleep, you always have time to sharpen your weapon, unless your teammates wake the monster early, which seems to happen a lot in multiplayer. Similar to the Basil Reed Rookslayer, the Baan Horn only has 3 buffs. So besides Attack Up, which we always like Attack Up buffs, we also see that it comes with Fire Resistance Boost Large and Sonic Waves. Let's start by talking a little bit more about Sonic Waves. So Sonic Waves being on the build is actually really good because it allows you to use the Super Pound over and over, and this not only helps deal sleep damage quickly with this double swing, but it queues up melodies, right? It's going to queue up the Sonic Wave and deal good damage all at the same time. So you're going to get the Sonic Wave melodies built up, and then you're going to go into a performance to deal as much damage as you can. Interestingly, the Fire Resistance Boost Large really isn't a bad buff either. Enemies who deal fire damage include Teostra, the Rathalos, and the Azure Rathalos, Lavasia, if I'm saying his name right. I think Basilius maybe does fire damage. I know he breathes fire sometimes to blow up his scales, right? And then you have the Raytheon and the Pink Raytheon, and of course, Anjanath. So there's an Elder Dragon in that list, a number of threat level 2 monsters, and for the most part, all of those monsters are annoying monsters, right? So also, if you didn't know this, the fire resistance buff gives you immunity to Fire Blight. Really not bad. But with that being said, I do feel like it could have had stronger buffs, like what would have been so bad about Attack Up Large, honestly, or maybe, I don't know, like a health recovery spell. I suspect Capcom treats sleep as one of the best ailments in the game because it gives you a chance to heal, resharpen your weapons, reload, set barrel bombs, set traps, and craft, all before making your next move. So I suspect they really do try to balance it around how powerful it secretly is. So if the Baan Horn seems a little underwhelming, just remember it has those 3 augmentation slots, and I think the sleep ailment's kind of OP as long as you and your team are willing to take advantage of it. Of course, there's downsides to the sleep ailment, right? First of all, it can get pretty expensive to take advantage of setting bombs and traps every time a monster goes to sleep, right? That adds up quickly. Those are expensive, especially if you're newer in the game. The other problem is that, although it may trivialize a fight, it doesn't necessarily make the fight go faster. It really just depends on how coordinated your team is in the end. And like I mentioned earlier, in a lot of random fights, it's like the randoms don't, well, A, they either don't care that it's going to sleep, or B, they don't even know what's going on and they just wake it up right away. So for the Horn's final tier rating, I actually did kick it down into the B tier just because it's so ineffective with randoms. You really do have to have a team that can take advantage of the sleep ailment, because if you're playing with randoms, I don't know, maybe 75% of the time nobody takes advantage of it. Maybe the last negative thing about the sleep ailment is that there are literally no difficult monsters in the game with a 3-star weakness to sleep. And again, this goes back to my suspicion that Capcom already treats sleep like it's kind of OP. If you go out to solo with your little palico, be sure to give him the Bond Ball, and together you guys can pretty consistently put a monster to sleep and dance all over it. It's quite easy. Alright, well next I'm going to show you the build I was using. It is experimental, so you shouldn't see it as like a must-have setup. Notice I do take the sleep attack skill, that seems pretty obvious, and then I pair it with the Zora Magdaros Mastery, right? And the way Zora Magdaros Mastery skill works is when you get a critical hit, you deal more status ailment. I don't know how, if I was going to change something about the build, I would want to know how effective that actually is, and that would probably be the thing I'd reconsider. I also have the Bombardier skill for setting barrels and an item loadout that includes everything I need to set barrel bombs and craft new barrel bombs. However, notice that I couldn't get the attack skill onto the build, and maximum might is only rank 2. In the end, I think the Baan Horn should be considered an option against Teostra for its fire resistance large buff. It also brings attack up small and the sleep ailment. I believe its closest competitor is going to be the Desolation Horn, which causes high Elder Seal, and that simply puts an end to Teostra's special abilities. So with Desolation Horn having the affinity up small, they're pretty similar, as you can see, right? Other than that, I would use it against the Raytheon and the Rathalos, since it will help protect the team against their fire attacks, and they do have a 2-star weakness to sleep. I hope you found this guide informative. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Oh my gosh, you guys! I just want to thank y'all so much!